And this is the problem that is characteristic in our society, in our culture in this day and age, that is so different from the conditions necessary to give the kind of dramatic devotion and love that maybe Mandarava must have felt in order to leave her hand in that rock like that, in order to be so absolutely certain that she would not be pulled away from the teacher, would not be pulled away from the path, would not be pulled away from her spiritual practice. She was so absolutely determined. It was so unthinkable, it was so unacceptable, that even physical conditions as we know them, even the laws of physics, would not bind her to remaining in samsara or remaining in the realm of suffering. She knew what she was about. She knew that she was going through the door of liberation, and this was her chance, and nothing was going to take her away from it. Nothing was going to remove her from that elixir, which is the liberator, from that precious jewel, which is actually the door of liberation, one's teacher, one's path. We, on the other hand, are taught pretty much directly and then also indirectly never to be like that. We are taught never to truly surrender our hearts. We don't do it in love relationships. We don't do it in spiritual relationships. We are taught to keep something aside for ourselves for safety. It's this kind of don't go there into the scary place message, you know? Don't ever really give your heart. Never allow, always control yourself. Always be in control. Never allow yourself to be so on fire with this passion of devotion that you are completely ignited. Never really completely spread your wings. Never really do that. Keep everything close to your chest. Keep everything controlled. Be sure you do like that. We are taught never to actually spiritually take flight, because to us that would be a fool's mission. We think, everything, we're in a materialistic society and everything has got to be very concrete for us. We don't like abstract thought too much. We like everything to be very concrete. And so we are taught never to really take flight. We don't want to step off that cliff into the abyss. And furthermore, we are taught to trust, what is the saying, only half of what you see and nothing of what you hear? Is that the expression? It's kind of like that. So when our parents, when our society taught us that, they thought they were doing us a favor, that we wouldn't be duped, that we wouldn't be fooled. And in some cases, it's useful. Because it's useful to have some kind of discrimination when someone just gives you information. You want to develop the kind of discrimination that causes you to maybe see through the filter of their particular conceptualization process. Maybe take it with a grain of salt. Just hear it through the filter of understanding that their thinking may not be so clear. Or even when you read the newspaper, or when you hear something from a politician. Heaven knows that is the right time to use some discrimination, isn't it? That's when you really want to use that discrimination. So when we hear that kind of thing or read from the newspaper something, we have this ability to stand back and go, well, I don't think I'm going to buy that hook, line, and sinker. I think I'm going to wait and see what's the real story here. What's this all about now? So in some cases, we have been taught something that is very useful to us. Don't take any wooden nickels, that sort of thing. But when it comes to spirituality, how do we discriminate? Because now something that is a coping mechanism that we are taught to keep us safe is actually working against us. But for those of us who have somehow given rise, and spiritually it can take many different forms, to some sort of extraordinary living faith in the three precious jewels, or in the door, in the potential and possibility and magnitude of what liberation would be like, or to give rise in faith to one's guru in the form of devotion, to have that kind of extraordinary devotion, or to give rise to this phenomenal flower or flame, I should say, of compassion, to where compassion is this burning force throughout your life, that you can't look at anything the way you used to. You can't look about, how much can I have and what can I do to make me happy, but instead your life becomes like, sort of like Mother Teresa. I think about Mother Teresa as being a great bodhisattva who is on fire, She has this flame of love inside of her. And so this flame of love is this natural passion that is a juicifier and a sustainer and a lifter and a nourisher and just a warm hearth inside one's mind and one's heart. For those people who have managed somehow to give birth to something like that, they are a different kind of person. They are a completely different kind of person. They do not have the same level of neuroses as the first kind of person. They are sustained by something that is kind of like a yes inside, or a life, a thing that is of life rather than anti-life. A natural something, a passion. And so for a person like that, there is a greater sense of joy, a greater sense of freedom, a greater sense of color, taste, something. And those are also the kind of people that everyone else follows around. Have you ever noticed that? A person that's on fire, that has love, that has faith, that has devotion, that has something inside of them you can feel it, it's a living thing. Those are the kind of people that other people are fascinated with. Afraid of sometimes, but also fascinated with. And they follow people like that around. And it's that kind of charisma that causes leaders to be leaders. There's a fire there, and everybody wants to be warm. Everybody wants to be warm. But again, we are trained in such a way that our quest for safety, our quest for keeping everything in a nice, neat little controlled place, everything in its place and a place for everything. And boy, the best thing to do is keep it in something that has drawers so you can close them. Because that's the neatest of all. And so we feel that if we live like that, there's no risk. Is it true? Oh no. No. Life has a way of contriving to let us know that even if we are marvelous at control, phenomenal at keeping things neat, unbelievable at sorting things out and keeping them all in their proper piles, just being on top of all of that kind of compulsion and fixation, life will find a way to teach you that that's like nothing. That is so hopeless, and we are so helpless when we put ourselves in that very fragile place. Life will show us that in the same way that a good wind will come by and blow away a pile of leaves that we've carefully stacked up in the fall, if you remember that experience. It's like that with our lives, too, when we find that, in fact, we are not safe. And in fact, if all of our safety got put into making ourselves feel like we have control over everything, if that's where our safety comes from, that kind of person will feel the least safe of all. But the person who has given rise to some kind of fire or passion, even if it's a little messy, even if it can burn stuff up, even if it can cause you to make big, dramatic, beautiful, splashy decisions that your neighbors aren't making, still in all, you have a fire. And that fire is a force. You have love. And that love is the strong, that compassion, that love, that bodhicitta, that giving rise to the natural, spontaneous element of your nature that is consistent with your own enlightened potential. To give rise to that, actually, that is the greatest, strongest rock that there is in samsara. You can depend on that. And obviously, from the story about Mandarava, it's even stronger than rock. It's stronger than anything on the face of this earth. To be truly alive, to know for certain that there is nothing in your heart and in your mind more precious than liberation, than achieving realization, than giving rise to the bodhicitta, than entering into the door of liberation. If that becomes for you the stable force, the light of your life, the great passion, oh, that cannot be destroyed in the world, because it isn't of the world.